All right, so I'm about to start reading from this Huey P. Newton book again. I don't know if this is. Look how it looks. You see it? That's cool.
Let me see. Why is this so little?
Well, I just start. It don't matter. So I'm about to read from the Huey P. Newton Reader, called Edited. It's edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. We're gonna read something that Huey wrote. It's called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed, June 5th, 1971. So I'm about to start reading here. This is a part of the political education I want to start doing more and more. When we out here shutting down the streets, that's one thing. And that's like really 10% of what it means to be about black liberation. You know, most of the stuff that we do is the stuff that is not out in the streets shutting it down. It's actually political education is one of the most important things, you know what I mean, in order to empower the people. So I want to educate everybody what the original Black Panther Party stood for and how some of this stuff I'm going to read today even applies today. It says, this is a dialogue in our community. This is a dialogue in our community, continuing discussion of the new thrust of the Black Panther Party as we begin to carry out the original vision of the party. When we coined the expression, all power to the people, we had in mind emphasizing the word power. For we recognize that the will to power is the basic drive of man, but it is incorrect to seek power over people. We have been subjected to the dehumanizing power of exploitation and racism for hundreds of years, and the black community has its own will to power also. What we seek, however, is not power over people, but the power to control our own destiny. For us, the true definition of power is not in the terms of how many people you can control. To us, power is, first of all, the ability to define phenomena, and secondly, the ability to make these phenomena act in a desired manner. People just tuning on. This is I'm reading from the Huey P. Newton Reader, edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. This is a part of the political education I'm going to start doing from now on for the community. And we reading from something that he wrote called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed 1. He wrote this June 5th, 1971. All right, to continue. He said, we see then that power has a dual character, and that we cannot simply identify and define phenomena without acting, for to do so is to become an armchair revolutionary. When Bobby and I left Merritt College to organize Brothers on the Block, we did so because the college students were too content to sit around and analyze without acting. On the other hand, power includes action, for it is making phenomena perform in a desired manner. But action without thinking in theory is also incorrect. If the social forces at work in the community have not been correctly analyzed and defined, how can you control them in such a way that they act in a desired manner? So the Black Panther Party has always merged theory and practice in such a way as to serve the true interests of the community. In merging theory with practice, we recognized that it was necessary to develop a theory which was valid for more than one time and place. We wanted to develop a system of thinking which was good anywhere, thus it had to be rather abstract. Yet our theory would relate to a concrete analysis of concrete conditions so that our actions will always be relevant and profitable to the people. Yet at the same time, it had to advance their thinking so that they would move toward a transformation of their situation of exploitation and oppression. We have always insisted on good theory and good practice, but we have not always been successful in carrying this through. When the Black Panther Party defected from the black community, we became, for a while, revolutionary cultists. One of the primary characteristics of a revolutionary cultist is that he despises everyone who has not reached his level of consciousness, or the level of consciousness that he thinks he has reached, instead of acting to bring the people to that level. In that way, the revolutionary cultist becomes divided from the people. He defects from the community. Instead, serving the people as a vanguard, he becomes a hero. Heroes engage in very courageous actions sometimes. They often make great sacrifices, including the supreme sacrifice, but they are still isolated from the people. Their courageous actions and higher levels of consciousness. And in Vanguard, however, will guide the people onto higher levels of consciousness, and that way bring them to the point where they will take sterner actions in their own interests and against those who continue to oppress them. As I've said previously, revolution is a process, not a conclusion. A true revolutionist will not only take courageous actions, he will also try to advance the people in such a manner that they will transform their situation. That is, by delivering power to the people, the true revolutionists will help them define the social phenomena in their community and lead them to the point where they will seize the time and make these phenomena act in a desired manner. So the people just jumping on, I'm reading from the Huey P. Newton Reader. It's edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. And I'm reading something Huey wrote June 5th, 1971, titled Black Capitalism Reanalyzed. He said, therefore, as revolutionaries, we must recognize the difference between what the people can do and what they will do. They can do anything they desire to do, but they will only take those actions which are consistent with their level of consciousness and their understanding of the situation. When we raise their consciousness, they will understand even more fully what they in fact can do, and they will move on the situation in a courageous manner. This is merging your theory with your practice. Point 3 of the original 10-point program of the Black Panther Party is we want to end to robbery by the capitalists of our black community. That was our position in October 1966, and it is still our position. We recognize that capitalism is no solution to the problems we face in our community. Capitalist exploitation is one of the basic causes of our problem. It is the goal of the Black Panther Party to negate capitalism in our communities and in oppressed communities throughout the world. However, many people have offered the community black capitalism as a solution to our problems. We recognize that people in the black community have no general dislike for the concept of black capitalism, but this is not because they are in love with capitalism, not at all. The ideal of black capitalism has come to mean to many people black control of another one of the institutions in the community. We see within this characteristic the seeds of negation of black capitalism and all capitalism in general. What we must do then is increase the positive qualities until they dominate the negative and therefore transform the situation. In the past, the Black Panther Party took a counter-revolutionary position with our blanket condemnation of black capitalism. Our strategy should have been to analyze the positive and negative qualities of this phenomenon before making any condemnations. Even though we recognize and correctly do so that capitalism is no solution or answer, we did not make a truly dialectical analysis of the situation. We recognize that in order to bring the people to the level of consciousness where they would seize the time, it would be necessary to serve their interests in survival by developing programs which would help them to meet their daily needs. For a long time, we have had such programs not only for survival, but for organizational purposes. Now we not only have a breakfast program for school children, we have clothing programs, we have health clinics which provide free medical dental services, we have programs for prisoners and their families, we are opening clothing and shoe factories to provide for more of the needs of the community. Most recently, we have begun a testing and research program on sickle cell anemia, and we know that 98% of the victims of this disease are black. To fail to combat this disease is to submit to genocide. To battle it is survival. Again, anybody that's jumping on right now, I'm reading from this book right here, the Huey P. Newton Reader. It's edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. I'm reading something that Huey wrote back in June 5th, 1971, called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed. One thing he's talking about right here, a lot of people already know this. The Black Panther Party had a lot of survival programs in the community that met the community needs. Like he was talking about the free breakfast program for children. They had clothing programs. They had free health clinics. They had like busing people out to see their people that was locked up in prison. They had they was opening clothing factories, shoe factories, and stuff like that. This was a way to empower, not only meet the needs of the community, but to empower the community, where the community could learn how to become self-sufficient, where you can rely on the community, build institutions to empower the community in ways where the government was neglecting in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? And I think one of the other positive things that came from these survival programs, it teaches the community how to control your own community. When people talk about socialism, a lot of people are like, how do you get to socialism? Well, one way you get there is like the Black Panther Party always said, the best way to teach the people is through observation and participation. So when people start to take over institutions in their community and are able to control those institutions for the needs of the people, you're teaching the people socialism right there. So they're learning it on a local level. So in time, as we develop this and this becomes a mass-based thing with throughout every community in the country, this would teach people how to govern themselves without the state being there as the mediator. You know what I'm saying? And in time, when we do fight for political power and when we do transition to that other part of that revolutionary process, the people already have the knowledge to how to govern themselves from the local levels, and those same skills they can take to the state and national levels in order to govern the people to govern themselves. So I think this is one of the good things that the Black Panther Party brought to us back in the days that we can still learn from today. But anyway, I'm about to go back to reading this. Again, this is the Huey P. Newton reader. I'm reading something he wrote June 5th, 1971. It's called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed. So to continue, he said, when the Black Panther Party defected from the, okay. No, we over here. All right. However, many of the offer, okay. Okay, here we go. In the past, the Black Panther Party took a counter-revolutionary position. I'm going back just a little bit. With our blatant condemnation of black capitalism. Our strategy should have been to analyze the positive and negative qualities of this phenomenon before making any condemnation. Even though we recognize, and correctly so, that capitalism is no solution or answer, we did not make a truly dialectical analysis of the situation. We recognize that in order to bring the people to the level of consciousness where they would seize the time, it would be necessary to serve their interests in survival by developing programs which would help them to meet their daily needs. For a long time, we had such programs not only for survival, but for organizational purposes. Okay. Yeah, I'm farther ahead. I'm going to skip to where I left off. All these programs satisfy the deep needs of the community, but they are not solutions to our problem. This is why we call them survival programs, meaning survival pending revolution. We say the survival program of the Black Panther Party is like the survival kit of a sailor stranded on a raft. It helps him to sustain himself until he can get completely out of that situation. So the survival programs are not answers or solutions, but they will help us to organize the community around a true analysis and understanding of their situation. When consciousness and understanding is raised to a high level, then the community will seize the time and deliver themselves from the boot of their oppressors. All our survival programs are free. We have never charged the community a dime to receive the things that they need from any of the programs, and we will not do so. We will not get caught up in a lot of the embarrassing questions or paperwork that alienate the people. If they have a need, we will serve their needs and attempt to get them to understand the true reasons why they are in need in such an incredibly rich land. Think about this. I know a couple years ago, before I got out of prison, the U.S. economy was $14 trillion. You know, a lot more than it was in the 60s. You know what I mean? But it's more poverty now. Think about that. How is it this country a richer country now, but more poverty? That's a contradiction. And by developing these survival programs, when we can build our own sufficiency up within our community and we don't have to rely on the government, this is a good way to educate the people that this system is the problem. This system is the cause for poverty. This system is the cause for underemployment and unemployment. This system is the cause for disproportionate healthcare not being provided to lower class people, in particular black people, but lower class people in general. You know what I'm saying? When the Black Panther Party was able to satisfy these needs in the black community, that highlighted a contradiction that the wealthy capitalists couldn't even take care of themselves, because they see people as expendable and stuff. But the Black Panther Party, that don't have $14 trillion, was able to meet the needs of the people in their community. How is that so? You know, and this is a contradiction that we want to wage. This is a part of the class struggle. Once we become self-sufficient, it makes the people question how and why was this government in a position where it wasn't doing this and it had way more resources to take care of the people's needs. To continue to go. In order to carry out such programs, we have always needed money. In the past, we received money from wealthy white philanthropists, humanitarians, and heirs to the corporate monopolies. At the same time, we were engaging in a blatant condemnation of small, victimized black capitalists found in our communities. This tactic was wrong, since we received money for our survival programs from big white capitalists, and we freely admit that. When we say that we see within black capitalism the seeds of its own negation and negation of all capitalism, we recognize that the small black capitalists in our communities has the potential to contribute to the building of the machine, which will serve the true interests of the people and end all exploitation. By increasing the positive qualities of the black capitalists, we may be able to bring about the non-antagonistic solution of this contradiction within our community, while at the same time heightening the oppressed community's contradiction with the large corporate capitalist empire. This will intensify the antagonistic contradiction between the oppressed communities and the empire. By heightening that contradiction, there will subsequently be a violent transformation of the corporate empire. We will do this through our survival programs, which have the interests of the community at heart. The ones that's just tuning in, again, I'm reading the Huey P. Newton Reader, and this is edited by David Hilliard and Donna Wise. This is something that Huey wrote back in June 5th, 1971. It's called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed, the first one. He said, we now see that black capitalists as having a similar relationship to the black community as the national, in parentheses, native bourgeoisie, having to the people in national wars of decolonialization. In wars of decolonialization, the national bourgeoisie supports the freedom struggle of the people because they recognize that it is in their own selfish interests. Then when the foreign exploiter has been kicked out, the national bourgeoisie takes its place and continues the exploitation. However, the national bourgeoisie is a weaker group even though they are exploiters. What Huey is getting at here, like in a lot of countries over in Africa, let's say in Africa, just to use this one example, but we can talk about South America, Asia, over there in the Middle East as well. In a lot of the countries over there, like for instance in Algeria, South Africa, they were oppressed in Algeria, particularly by the French. The French was actually ran the governments, control all the institutions. That was the direct form of colonialization. The black and Arab people in Algeria, that had some resources, that might have had small businesses or whatnot, they were also being oppressed by those French colonizers, you know, because at the end of the day, they controlled the big businesses and the wealth and resources and the institutions over in Algeria at the time, for instance. So because they were being oppressed, they also wanted to free themselves from the French colonial colonists. So by working with some of them in some of these countries, they were able to help build up the national liberation movement to free themselves from colonialism, direct colonialism from the French, from the Italians, from the Dutch, from the Spanish, from the Portuguese, you know what I mean? Because it was in their interest to get rid of colonialism in their country. For them, a lot of their self-interest is because they wanted to come to their power themselves and become the new exploiters. So they would join forces with the lower class liberation movements in order to free themselves from the direct colonialization from the French, the Portuguese, or whatever who was dominating those countries and stuff. Well, for Huey P. Newton is getting to this point right here. In this country, we have that same relationship. We are under a form of colonialization. We call it neo-colonialization in a lot of ways for us. You know what I mean? By joining forces with some of these small black businesses that are being oppressed by these white monopoly capitalists, corporations and stuff. And a lot of them will even take over some of the ones that's gaining power and starting to become big once situations like Great Depressions, this recent recession that we in now, that might be end up later on classified as a depression for a lot of people and stuff, right? A lot of businesses can't compete, so the bigger business can swallow them up. So because they're being oppressed by these big transnational corporations and stuff like that, it's in their interest to align themselves with the black community, with the local communities that surround them, because their survival is based on us going to their businesses and patroning their businesses for them to survive. And because we see that dialectical relationship, we see that we can lessen that contradiction between us and some of these small businesses. Some of these small businesses can start contributing to social programs, survivor programs, serve the people programs in our community to help develop programs to meet the needs of the people. You dig what I'm saying? And this will also empower the people in the community. It will meet their needs, and it will also help the Vanguard Party, the Black Panther Party, as we start to, as a people across the country start to develop these Panther chapters across the country. It would empower the Vanguard Party to play an even more political role and to help advance in the revolution of the Black Liberation Movement. So it is not necessarily a antagonistic contradiction with some of these black-owned businesses, Spanish-owned businesses, or whatnot. If they realize that their survival rests upon us, we have to let them know that your survival rests upon us. We can make you drown, or we can help you succeed. But in order for you to succeed, you're going to have to reinvest in our community. All power to the people.
All power to the people.
All right, with that said, we now see that black capitalists have a similar... Okay. All right, I'm going down a little bit further. Since the people see black capitalism in the community as black control of local institutions, this is a positive characteristic because the people can bring more direction and focus to the activities of the capitalists. At the same time, the black capitalist who has the interest of the community at heart will respond to the needs of the people because this is where their true strength lies. So far as capitalism in general is concerned, the black capitalist merely has the status of victim because the big white capitalists have the skills, make the loans, and in fact control the black capitalists. This is the contradiction that we can heighten between the small capitalists in our community with the transnational corporations that even oppress them. We can use this contradiction to aid the black liberation movement in the people's favor. If he wants to succeed in this enterprise, the black capitalist must turn to the black community because he depends on them to make his profits. He needs this strong community support because he cannot become independent of the control of the corporate capitalists who control the large monopolies. Huey was very smart. And this is being a dialectical materialist, seeing contradictions, turning antagonistic contradictions into non-antagonistic contradictions is important in order to form alliances with and temporary alliances with institutions and people in the community that might be able to be aligned with our struggle and stuff. Like some of the institutions of colleges and stuff like this, the professors, what we call the petty bourgeoisie. We can have alliances with them because they can bring about help with the theoretical aspect. You dig what I'm saying? They can help organize in these institutions, in these schools and stuff. So this, I'm expanding it by going off in that, and I don't want to go too far in a direction like that. But this is showing how you can turn something that is antagonistic into a non-antagonistic contradiction. This is something we have to start doing across the country now in order to build up these survival programs, serve the people programs, and around the country. And you got to do this on a local level. You got to be out here talking to these small businesses. You dig what I'm saying? Getting them on board. You know what I mean? The ones that don't get on board, we don't patronize you. We don't support you. Yeah, eventually you're going to get swallowed up because you don't have the support of the community no more. But this is one way that we can start to build up these serve the people programs in our communities. And this is what Huey P. Newton is letting us know. So the ones that's just jumping on here, I'm reading the Huey P. Newton reader. This is edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. So I'm going to continue. I only got a little bit left. Said the black capitalists will be able to support the people by contributing to the survival programs of the Black Panther Party. In contributing to such programs, he will be able to help build the vehicle that will eventually liberate the black community. He will not be able to deliver the people from their problems, and that's key. I'm going to say this one more time. He will not be able to deliver the people from their problems, but he will be able to build a strong political machine which will serve as a revolutionary vanguard and a guide the people in their moves towards freedom. So this is part of that alliance. Hey, Bree, I see you on there. All power to the people. Our reanalysis of black capitalism and its relationship to the community from the perspective of dialectical materialism and our practical understanding of the needs of the community and attitudes of the people towards black capitalism leads us to a new position. Black businesses that have the interests of the community at heart will be able to contribute to the people throughout the community programs of the Black Panther Party. These free programs will help the community survive and thus deter the genocide, which is always a threat to our existence here. So I know you just came on, Bree. So I'm going to let you know we reading the Huey P. Newton reader. And this is edited by David Hilliard and Donna Weiser. I'm reading something that Huey P. Newton wrote June 5th, 1971. It's called Black Capitalism Reanalyzed. This is how we can use those black capitalists in our community to actually support black liberation. So he says this, to keep on going. I'm almost done. I'll send you a link to this so you can see the whole thing. In return for these contributions, the Black Panther Party will carry advertisements of these businesses in our paper and urge the community to support them. We will never sell advertising space in the paper, but we will give space in return for contributions to the survival programs, which are given free to the community. In this way, we will achieve a greater unity of the community of victims, the people who are victimized by the society in general, and the black capitalists who are victimized by the corporate capitalist monopolies. In this way, we will increase the positive qualities of black capitalism until they dominate the negative qualities. And exploitation will no longer be reality which the community reluctantly accepts. The community will see those who support their survival and patronize their places of businesses. At the same time, the community will also criticize those who refuse to participate in their survival program and turn their backs on them. If the establishment tries to come down hard on those businessmen who support the survival programs, then the community will recognize this as another form of oppression and will move to strongly defend their supporters. And that way, the consciousness of the people and the level of struggle will be advanced. There is no salvation in capitalism, but through this new approach, the black capitalist will contribute to his own negation by helping to build a strong political vehicle which is guided by revolutionary concepts and serve as a vanguard for the people. In a way, our new position has the simplicity and completeness of a mathematical formula. When The black capitalist contributes to the survival program, makes a contribution to the community will give him their support and thus strengthen his business. If he does not make any contribution to the survival of the community, the people will not support him and his enterprise will wither away because of his own negligence. By supporting the community, he will be helping to build the political machine that will eventually negate his own exploitation of the community, but also negate his being exploited and victimized by corporate capitalism. So we will heighten the contradiction between the black community and corporate capitalism, while at the same time reducing the contradiction between black capitalists and the black community. In this way, black capitalism will be transformed from a relationship of exploitation of the community to a relationship of service to the community, which will contribute to the survival of everyone. With that said, all power to the people, Huey. So just to summarize what I said, this right here, what Huey P. Newton was talking about, the Huey P. Newton Reader. If you don't have this book, this is an excellent book to understand what the original Black Panther Party was about. You'll understand their evolution, all that. And this is edited by David Hilliard and Donald Weiser. So to wrap this up in conclusion, these are some things that we can start doing today. You dig what I'm saying? Within our community across the country. When we start to go to these black businesses, and you don't have to start off with a lot of people, but when you go to these black businesses in your neighborhood and try to get them on board with helping contribute resources. It don't even always have to be monetary resources. It could be food. It could be giving out free gas on certain times of the day or something like that. It could be some of these businesses that have food that's been that might expire within a week that they trying to hurry up and give away, but a person might eat that up in 2 days. You dig what I'm saying? But we can use some of these minority, let's say that, not just black, but minority businesses to contribute to some of these serve the people programs in our neighborhoods. This will help to build up our dual power. This will build up our self-sufficiency where we can start meeting the needs of the people. And by doing this is a way to educate them, the people of what socialism, that we're trying to teach them socialism in a observation and participation manner. When you learn hands-on and you don't even know what socialism is, but you actually practicing it on a microcosm level, by the time we reach political power, you will understand it on a macro level. You dig what I'm saying? So this is one of the ways that you teach the people, like the Black Panther Party said, through observation and participation. So I think this was a good thing that a part of political education I wanted to share with the people that might be watching and stuff, because this is something we can start actually implementing today that the original Black Panther Party explained to us back in June 5th, 1971. So I'm going to make a link to this, put this on Facebook, and y'all can share this to wherever y'all want. With that said, all power to the people. Say boots on the ground. Boots on the ground.